The story begins in the hospital with a boy lying in bed as a petal falls on his face. The boy wakes up startled and immediately sits up. He's panting and asks himself where he is. At this moment, you already know that he's someone who's been reincarnated. He goes to pull off the sheet to check if his legs are okay. But no, the guy reincarnated without legs. Angry, he asks what time it is when suddenly someone calls out for their brother. She cries emotionally, saying that he's finally awake and runs to give him a hug. She promises to find the person responsible for the accident and assures him that his legs will be healed. The protagonist realizes he has truly traveled back 1 year in time to the moment of the car accident where he spun like a Beyblade and soared through the sky. That's when his life as a young billionaire ended. A girl rushed to rescue Mr. Shen, but after that, he became a wheelchair user. Things only started to go wrong from that moment on. Someone enters the room and calls for Shen Qing. With a desolate expression, the protagonist called for Chang Kai. Chang Kai informed him that his big brother had brought some food to help him recover. This was the person he trusted most in the world. His brother, Xiao Tian, was someone he had been very close to. But this guy took advantage of the moment when he was in hospital to take over the company he had created. Even worse, he used the protagonist's poor health to force his sister to marry him. Fortunately, the man was a family friend, not a blood relative. He told the protagonist's sister that if she married him, he would guarantee her brother's future and cover their hospital bills. Desperate to protect his sister, the protagonist begged him to let her go. But the poor guy was lying on the floor like a slug. Xiao Tian asks what he's going to do about it. He kisses his sister in front of him, saying he doesn't understand why dogs keep barking. The girl could only cry, feeling completely powerless. That bastard took everything he had. Soon after, a game called Divine Path appeared. It had a 100% realism feature, and soon enough the in-game currency became valuable in the real world. But something no one expected happened. The game's attributes started affecting reality that should have been the perfect opportunity for Shen Qing to take his revenge. But at the start, he was dirt poor. He couldn't join the game as soon as it launched, nor did he have the resources to level up quickly. He was constantly crushed and killed, and he had no chance to compete with that guy. And that Xiao Tian used the money he stole from his company to buy the best resources in the game and build a powerful guild that turned him into an unmatched powerhouse. But Shen Qing knew that all of this belonged to him. Later, at his house, Xiao Tian asks if the boy called him there to laugh at him. Surrounded by explosives, he laughs, saying it's foolish to think something like this will kill him. But Shen Qing says that, at the very least, they'll find out together. And he presses the detonator and says they'll meet in the next life. With that, the entire house explodes. The boy was badly injured. His arms and legs are gone. But Xiao Tian asks why he even tried something so pointless. Shen Qing is shocked to see the guy standing there completely unharmed in front of him. Xiao Tian says that with Divine Path attributes, it's impossible for even a hair on his body to be hurt by something like this. He stomps on the boy's head and says that before he dies, he'll learn something. He was the reason behind his parents' death, and also the accident that caused him to lose his legs. And the most ironic part is that he's going to have a child with his sister, and the family's last bloodline will carry his name. Shen Qing screams in despair, but under the guy's foot, there's nothing he can do. Even as his head is crushed, he swears to himself that he will never forgive him. Now, back in the present, he has no idea why he was reincarnated, but he turns to his sister and tells her to stop crying and promises that things will get better. He swears that in this life, he will protect her and everything their family worked for. And of course, he will get revenge on that bastard Chang Kai. The problem is that he reincarnated after the accident, so he already doesn't have his legs. His only chance lies in the launch of Divine Path. It will take about a month before people realize that the game's attributes can change reality. This short window of time is his opportunity to change everything. He knows he has to act fast while his money hasn't been frozen yet. His sister notices his expression and asks if his leg hurts. She stands up, saying she's going to call a doctor, but he stops her, saying there's something more important to deal with. Confused, she asks what could possibly be more urgent. He says he needs her help to get a gaming station, one for the new game that's about to launch known as Divine Path, but she still doesn't understand why it's so important. Suddenly, Xiao Tian enters the room asking since when his big brother has been so into games. He warns Shen Qing not to get addicted to games, saying he still has a company to take care of. Shen Qing quickly realizes that he's trying to provoke him. However, he simply replies that now that he's crippled, there's nothing he can do but play games. Xiao Tian smirks and says that the game Divine Path is about to launch, but it's extremely expensive. He explains that at launch, only 100 units will be available, each costing over 300 million. Shen Qing confidently replies that the company's money is his, and he'd buy it even if it cost 30 billion. His sister tries to calm him down, but Xiao Tian says it's fine. Since he wants it so badly, he'll buy one for him. Obviously, Tang Kai is happy with this news. The more time the boy wastes on the game, the easier it will be for him to take over the company. He then tells him not to worry. Since he wants to explore the gaming world, he'll get one for him and make sure he enjoys it. There's no need to stress about the company because he will handle it. Suddenly, he pulls his sister closer and says that Tang will now spend more time with him. Meanwhile, Shenqing silently swears that he won't allow that filthy man lay a hand on his sister again. Not understanding, Xiaotian says that's fine. He then leaves the room and closes the door behind him. Outside, he looks back in anger, questioning why that useless assassin failed to kill this man. Next time, he'll bring a tank to make sure the job is done properly. Inside the room, Shenqing tells his sister to convert all the company's funds into in-game currency. He also asks her to sell all the company's shares and transfer that money too. She's a bit confused and asks if he's unwell or what exactly is going on. He tells her that he's fine and not to worry about him. He has a plan to change their future. 3 hours later, after paying 200 million in extra shipping fees, the gaming setup is ready in his room. This boy is quick indeed. The account is already created and he says, "Here I go." With that, the system appears, and at least in the game, our boy has legs. If there's one thing he truly liked about the game, it was the feeling of walking freely. The system asks for a character name, and he enters Chao Wang. Then it shows a bunch of characters and asks him to choose a class. Up to this point, everything is just as he remembers from his past life. He decides to pick the same class he's most familiar with, the Ranger. Man, it's surprising he didn't choose to be an assassin. The system congratulates him and moves to the next step. As a VIP user and the game's first player, he receives an elven bloodline to start the game. Since the Ranger class fits well with elves, he gets an additional bonus for that. As a special user, he's also given a reward book. Man, this kid is clearly living the pay-to-win life. The book grants him a skill to detect weak points, and he gets excited because, just like in his past life, these are all abilities he's already mastered. As one of the first 100 players, he's also rewarded with a special chest. Now, this is something he didn't expect, since in his past life, he wasn't among the first players. A message pops up saying the chest contains a rare talent, but will cost 50 million gold coins, which is equal to $7 million. What the heck? This chest is crazy expensive. But our boy doesn't hesitate. He sold the company for this exact reason and quickly transfers the money into his game account. He knows that as the game grows, real-world money will lose its value while in-game items become priceless. Not to mention that talents are incredibly rare, so getting one now is a huge advantage. He remembers how, in his past life, he had a talent that boosted bleed damage, which helped him win countless battles. With the company's funds, he manages to put 500 million gold coins into the game. Without hesitation, he clicks yes to open the chest. A golden beam shoots into the sky as the chest opens. What he gets leaves him thrilled. It's a talent that can evolve anything, something he didn't even know existed. A giant elf appears and announces that the talent has been activated. With that, he's ready to begin his hunt. However, he's surprised because obtaining such a talent with this amount of money seems impossible. Curious, he decides to open the ability to see what it does. Any item he obtains from monsters will always be 1 rank higher, with a 5% chance of being 2 ranks higher. Additionally, he gains an active skill that can be used once every 24 hours. This skill allows him to upgrade an item by 2 levels, or with a 10% chance by 3 levels. Although the talent doesn't enhance his attributes directly, he knows it will make him very strong in the game. He raises his arms as a gauntlet appears in his hands, and he says that this will change his future. As he walks through the city, he knows everything is perfect. While everyone else is using bronze items, he already has silver gear. Spending all the company's money was definitely going to be worth it. He's ready to enter the game and start killing monsters to get stronger items, but he needs to be careful with the 24-hour ability. First, he has to find something that can evolve. With all the preparations done, he opens the system, and the game's entrance appears. Excitedly, he says it's time to change his life. When he gets teleported to the starting village, he's surprised to see so many rich players are already there. He expected to be one of the first players, but there's already a crowd hunting chickens to level up. As the chickens run, more players join in to hunt them too. It looks like there's a competition in the starting village for anything. But he knows fighting over chickens is a waste of time. He needs to go straight for a goal that's worth it, like defeating the starting zone boss and earning the first kill reward. The system warns him to be careful before entering the wild zone, but he flicks the system away, saying the fastest way to level up is to kill dangerous monsters. Before anything, he needs to equip something, but when he opens his inventory, he's disappointed. The boy has his starter bow and a useless cloth armor, and there's no way it's worth upgrading those things. The problem is that he needs to gain an advantage over others as quickly as possible. He suddenly remembers that this ability can also evolve his talent. He raises his hands and uses it on himself. He uses the skill to evolve his elven bloodline. An elf appears wearing a crown of lightning and suddenly turns golden. The evolution is a success, upgrading his bloodline to a royal elf bloodline. This increases his speed and accuracy. But the best part is that every third strike is a critical hit. Just seeing his HP bar go up, he knows it was worth it. With these attributes, he could easily start the game solo. Then, here's a howl nearby. Looking over, he sees a level 2 forest wolf. Other adventurers are already hunting it, shouting that it won't escape. Everyone is eager to level up quickly. Shenqing hides behind a tree. These players are smart. They know that forming groups and hunting stronger creatures is the fastest way to level up. The only problem is they don't realize just how realistic this game really is. Suddenly, the mage seems to notice something behind them and warns the group. Wolves always hunt in packs and they're surrounded. The monsters leap at the group, and as soon as they're attacked, they start to panic. The pain from the bites feels much more real than they imagined. The group soon realizes that going so deep into the forest wasn't a good idea. One member, with his head being eaten, says he'll see them at respawn point. Soon, the whole group is wiped out. Shenqing seizes the perfect opportunity. While the wolves are distracted, he shoots an arrow from behind that pierces the wolf's head and kills it with a clean headshot. With that, he makes his first kill, and he levels up to level 2, gaining experience for his elven bloodline. He also earns 5 attribute points and some wolf meat. Health-restoring items are perfect for solo players like him, but the wolves notice his presence and turns to attack him. He sees 3 of them coming his way. Now that he's tested his damage, he feels confident. He turns back and starts running. He activates his passive elven skill, which boosts his movement speed by 100%, and he sprints away. He runs to the edge of a mountain, jumps from one ledge to another, and leaves the wolves behind. His elven bloodline and ranger skills work perfectly. He looks back and says they don't stand a chance. But then he notices something strange. The wolves don't chase him. They just stand still and stare at him. That's when he notices the system alert, indicating he's entered the buffalo zone. He sees the creatures nearby and quickly understands why the wolves aren't chasing him, because this is a high-level area. Terrified, the wolves begin to retreat. While checking the system and confirming that the buffalo are level 5, he hears someone call him handsome. Turning around, he sees a group approaching and inviting him to join them. Man, these guys look very suspicious. Even though there's a waifu girl in the group, he doesn't trust her for a second, especially when she calls him handsome again. When some stranger calls you handsome, you already know they're up to no good. The girl explains they're looking for someone to join their group to hunt buffalo and level up quickly. However, the McDonald's mage points out that he's only level 2 and would only slow them down. While Shenqing stands there, confused by the sudden rejection, they don't even bother waiting for his response. He turns around and wishes them luck, saying he's heading somewhere else. The guy in blue gear asks if he's crazy for wanting to hunt alone. Shenqing replies that he's a lone wolf and prefers to hunt alone. But they try to warn him, saying the next area is much more dangerous and even risky for their group. The chubby guy asks if he knows about the death penalty. Shenqing says he's new and has never died, so he has no idea about this so-called penalty. The guy explains that if you die, first you lose half your gold, your equipment gets damaged, and you lose half of the experience points you've earned. Plus, the pain of death is incredibly realistic. Shenqing doesn't seem bothered and thanks them for the warning. As he waves goodbye, he says it's nice to learn from such pros. The girl says maybe they should help the guy since it's dangerous to go alone. But the mage tells her not to bother, saying if the idiot wants to die, there's no need to stop him. Later, Shenqing heads into a dark cave where he finds many skeletons on the ground. He knows this is the place he was looking for, the area with the strongest boss in the starting zone. Suddenly, the cave wall shakes and a giant creature opens its eyes. Our protagonist now stands face to face with the level 10 giant king snake. He activates his ability to detect weaknesses. A weak point marker appears on the snake, revealing it has 800 HP, while our boy has 1300 HP. At level 2, he should only have around 200 HP. But thanks to his Royal Elf passive skill, he gets an extra 1000 HP. This gives him the confidence to take on the boss. With his bow ready, he locks eyes with the monster. The snake lunges forward to bite him with its fangs. But as fast as it is, Shenqing easily matches its speed. He dodges to the side just in time and fires his first arrow. The shot lands right on the mark, but the damage is only 29. Far less than he expected. It's clear that, despite his advantage, a boss is still a boss. He dodges again, and thanks to the fact that his speed is enough to avoid its attack for now. The giant king snake is powerful, but its movements are slow enough for him to chip away at its health. However, as he aims another shot at its neck, the snake blocks it with its tail. The monster is now guarding its only weak spot. Shenqing fires a volley of arrows, but the snake keeps blocking every shot, dealing 0 damage. Finally, he spots an opening and lands a shot, dealing 58 damage. However, this fight will take longer than he expected, but he's definitely faster than the monster. Suddenly, the snake starts inhaling deeply, and the cave fills with poison. Shenqing's health begins to drop by 10 HP per second. Doing the math, he realizes he doesn't have much time left. To make matters worse, the snake climbs to the top of the cave, making it harder for him to aim. But Shenqing doesn't back down. He draws another arrow, saying the snake is underestimating him. This time, his shot strikes the neck, dealing 116 damage. This kid really knows his tricks. The monster falls to the ground, taking extra damage since every third strike lands as a critical hit. He taunts the boss, asking how many more hits it can endure. The snake is starting to sweat, realizing this battle won't be so easy. After some time, the monster's health drops to 597 HP, and Shenqing is confident. Even though he's losing 10 HP per second, he's sure he'll win. His own HP continues to drop, now at 1010. The problem is that the snake is making things even harder. As he stands still, he's forced to dodge multiple tail attacks. When the monster realizes its attacks aren't landing, it starts striking more aggressively to prevent him from attacking. He dodges another attack, thinking that while the snake is clever, it's still underestimating his speed. He fires another arrow, hitting the neck for a critical damage of 200, but he notices something strange. Even though the neck is the weak spot for an instant kill, the belly seems to take more damage. He prepares his next shot, saying that if that's the case, the snake will die even faster. But then he notices something strange. The monster almost seems to be smiling at him. Suddenly, the snake slams its tail into the ground, creating a crack that rushes toward him. The ground becomes unstable, and Shenqing loses track of the boss. Suddenly, he falls to his knees. The poison is now draining 20 HP per second, leaving him with only 600 HP. This fight was clearly meant for a group, not one player. Realizing he won't survive at this rate, he grabs some wolf meat from his inventory, saying he'll have to spend more than he planned. Wolf meat restores 20 horsepower per second for 20 seconds. It's not much, but it's enough to buy him time. The next 20 seconds will decide whether he wins this or not. He starts climbing, jumping from ledge to ledge, steadily working his way up. Finally, he reaches a position above the boss. He pulls out an arrow and lands a shot. The snake looks furious, as if it didn't expect him to make it out alive. The arrow hits the snake right in the eye, causing it to thrash and collapse to the ground. Shenqing notices the snake trying to escape again, but he takes advantage of its exposed back to land another shot on its neck. The monster turns, terrified only to see our protagonist preparing another elven arrow. The poor snake is trembling with fear, tries to retreat, but Shenqing fires shot after shot, with the final arrow piercing through its body, dealing 200 damage and bursting out of its mouth. With that, the monster finally drops to 0 HP. The legendary boss is defeated and the poison disappears. The system announces that his achievement will be broadcast to the entire server and asks if he wants to hide his name or not. Shenqing thinks about this, but decides he's been hiding for far too long. Then he tells the system to make an announcement. And that's the end of the video. If you liked the video and wants to see the next part, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.